Welcome to the OnlyMotors archives, where we'll share with you our motoring experiences.
Let's see what lies in store.
Because we love cars.
This one, it kicks like a mule.
We're taking you to all the places a petrolhead loves with the help of our knowledgeable experts.
Only problem is, I've no idea what I'm supposed to be reviewing. Whoa! What the hell's that?
Meet the biggest enthusiasts in the industry.
You heard it here first. Chris Evans no longer has white Ferraris.
Don't have a single white Ferrari.
Motoring madness.
This is where all the magic happens.
Also, they're terrible at parking, so look for a car that's pretty outrageous that he's parked across 2 bays, like that.
Fun, speed, passion, all in one place. The OnlyMotors archive. Welcome to the OnlyMotors archives. On today's show, we have got the Subaru BRZ, the Jaguar XKR-S, the Citroen C1, and some very impressive car sculptures. But first of all, we look at Japan's modern classic sports car, the Subaru BRZ.
There are certain combinations of letters that car people instantly recognise. Letters that are so packed with meaning, you don't need to explain what they represent.
Letters like RS, NSX, VXR, DBS or WRX. Those 3 little letters instantly conjure an image of a rally-bred Subaru flying through a forest, 4-wheel drive scrabbling at the gravel road, the turbocharged flat-4 engine snarl ricocheting off the trees.
It's a powerful image, one that Subaru has carefully cultivated over the years. So this latest WRX STI has a lot to live up to. But hang on a minute, this one is absolutely filthy. Not sure who's done this. Bizarrely, that dirt splashed all over this Subaru actually makes it look, I don't know, kind of like it's in its right place, the right environment.
It certainly looks the part, with big intakes, bulging wheel arches, huge rear spoiler and quad exhaust tailpipes. It's no looker, but then the WRX never has been.
There's something rather pleasing about the drivetrain on this. I think that's probably because it's quite old school. The engine under this is a 2.5 litre turbocharged flat 4. It kicks out 296 horses. There are no fancy turbos or direct injection, it's just pure raw power. That's a good thing.
As a result, this might be the only engine left that actually has proper turbo lag. You have to really work hard to keep this engine on the boil, which isn't helped by a distinctly rubbery gear change.
Don't get me wrong, this is a really fast car. 0 to 62 miles per hour taking just 5.2 seconds. I reckon you could shave another half a second off it if you had a slightly more responsive engine and a slicker gear change. The handling too feels like it's from a previous generation. There's some serious heft to the steering, but it is direct, and you know what, a little bit short on feel.
Still, it's extremely nimble with enormous traction and grip, but without a rear limited slip differential, you almost have to wait for the 4-wheel drive to catch up before you can power out of a corner.
And the ride is ludicrously stiff. You know what, on a hard surface it might even slow you down. You know what, I'm starting to sound like I'm on a downer about this WRX. I'm really not. It's huge fun and enthusiasts will absolutely love it. I just don't think this particular model is going to convert anyone. The £28,995 price tag on this does look awfully tempting. but for just £1,000 more you can get a VW Golf R. It'll be just as fast across country and a lot more civilised.
The world has moved on from the wham bam thank you ma'am charms of the Subaru WRX. Some would argue that makes it an irrelevance.
I say that current four-wheel drive performance cars are so easy to drive that they make you almost a bit lazy. The WRX forces you to concentrate on the road, and it really gets you involved in the whole driving experience. I say that the Subaru WRX is more relevant than ever.
So that was the Subaru BRZ, one of the purest drives on the road with its front engine, rear wheel drive powertrain setup. Up next is a car that is completely different, but it's still one of the best in its respective class. That is the Super Mini class, and this car is the Citroen C1.
The new Citroen C1 is being launched by the French motor company in Amsterdam of all places. I guess that kind of makes sense, as it is a city car and filming in Amsterdam has got to be better than Citroen's UK home of Coventry. No offence there. So we thought we'd zip over to Holland to find out what's good and what's bad about the new car. Although the styling is entirely new, the C1's platform is carried over from its predecessor, so the rear seats are still cramped and the boot is still tiny. However, a new 1.2 3-cylinder PureTech engine gives a welcome dose of performance. Alongside 3- and 5-door versions of the hatch, a new Airscape version adds an electric peel-back fabric roof in the mould of the Fiat 500c. With colour-coded trim for the centre console and gear lever surround, as well as flashes of exterior colour on the doors and the option of striped seat upholstery, the C1's interior is a happy place to spend your time. But feel some of the surfaces, and the quality of materials isn't really up to the standard of, say, a VW Up, but it by no means feels bargain basement. French manufacturers, though, don't have the best reliability records, but considering a large chunk of the development work of the C1 was carried out by Toyota, it's a safe bet that the C1 won't go wrong. So with the same underpinnings as its predecessor, it's hardly surprising to see that the new Citroen C1 handles and drives very much like the old car. But that's not a bad thing, because the old car sold very well, and when it comes to city driving, you're not after something that goes from 0 to 62 in a ridiculous amount of time. This car works perfectly. The boot's tiny, the back seats are tiny, but after all, it is a town/city car. So at the end of the day, it does what it says on the tin. A few little nice touches, like this oversized speedo here, very similar to the Mini. Technically, we've got this 7-inch touchscreen, adds a bit of wow factor to the car. And also little touches such as the colour-coded interior, very, very similar to the exterior. Altogether, the Citroen C1 is not a bad city car. Don't expect though to fill the boot up, you're not going to get much more than shopping bags in that. It's a great car, prices very reasonable too. I think this will sell very well in the UK, and it's available now from July 2014 onwards. So if you want an affordable car that can transport 4 adult short distances, but will be used mainly with 1 or maybe 2 passengers in the car, then the C1 is a good choice. OnlyMotors would go for the 5-door model, simply because it only costs £400 more, looks just as good, and improves rear accessibility massively. So what's good about this new Citroen C1? Well, it's reasonably priced, it's got good acceleration, and it's very easy to drive. But what's bad? Well, the interior quality isn't that brilliant. There's not a lot of rear seat space, and the boot is still tiny. This is OnlyMotors in Amsterdam.
So those were two very different but good cars. Time for a break, but do come back after the break as we have some special German cars, a Jaguar XKR-S that goes up against them, and automotive sculptor Dave Clark. Welcome back to the archives. It's time to meet Dave Clark, a man that used to take old cars and turn them into some pretty good pieces of house furniture. He still dabbles in that, but his business has now expanded into some very highly stylized automotive sculptures. This is Dave Clark Designs.
Kid, I was always, as soon as I could pick up a pencil, I was drawing cars, designing cars, sketching, everything. It's always about cars. First trained as a toolmaker way back when, so I was a toolmaker to start with, and then I moved into mechanical design engineering. From there I moved into product design, industrial design, sort of what they would call a bit of a mixture between a mechanical engineer and a felt tip fairy sort of thing. But yeah, always hands-on, so I've always been able to make what I draw. So if I design something, I'll be the person that sort of, gets his hands dirty and makes the first prototype. September 2009, got a bit bored with the job I was in at the time, so I made my first car seat chair. A friend of mine saw that and said, well, that's quite good, could you make one for me? So I made one for him. And then he said, you should show these. So I made 3 and took to a car show and got 2 commissions. So well, okay, there might be something in this. And I really wanted to start working for myself. And started from there. So I went part-time with the firm I was with at the time. 3 days a week for them and 2 days a week doing what I was doing, until after 6 months there was enough work coming in for me to jump ship completely and start in earnest on this full time. I did a lot of car club shows, like Alpha Owners Clubs and Escort Owners Clubs, all these sort of things. And basically sort of dragging a few chairs around and every time I did a show I got 2 or 3 commissions. And then it picked up from that. So every now and again I would take something to the show that I'd made and sell that off the stand. But literally it would get a commission and then one of their friends would phone me up and say, can you make, can you do? And from there really. For the first couple of years it was quiet because the problem is you're making something that people don't know that they want it yet, and they don't know that it exists. So when they actually see you at car shows, they go, oh my God, I didn't realise somebody did that, and then you get the work. But of course people don't necessarily search the internet for car seat furniture or sculptures or whatever. So it's not until they see it, they get it, and then word of mouth. When a mate of mine said, oh, why don't you do Twitter? I went, oh, I can't be doing with that. But I started Twitter probably about 3 years ago, and literally all I do is I send a couple of pictures that evening of what I've been doing that day. And people just say, oh, that's really great. Could you make one of these? Or I've got a seat from an old Ferrari or something. Can you turn that into a chair for me? And it's just built up. So I've got about 3,500 followers, but probably a good 70–80% of my work is through people that follow me on Twitter. especially on the furniture, I would say probably about 70% of my business is people coming to me and saying they've got either an engine or a wheel or a tyre or a seat from a car, and then ask me to turn it into something for them. So either an alloy wheel into a bar stool or a seat into a chair. So most of the people come to me with the part. Because it's the first time, like I say, it's the first time they've kind of seen the idea, and they see a particular seat on Twitter that I've just done, and they go, oh, I've got an old seat in the garage from a car, you know, and I love that car. And that's the thing, people love their cars, and that's why they want a little piece of it somewhere in the house or in the workshop or at the office. Typically, I will ask them to send me as many photographs as the car as possible. Some of the people, they just love the car, so they don't have the car. So they say, look, I really love a certain Porsche, can you make one? And then I'll produce almost like a generic sculpture of that. But other people, their car's very particular to them and they've got it and it's had certain modifications, and they say, well, can you have it with the roof down and not the roof up? Can you have the lights popping? Can you do this? Can you do that? Can I have a little engraved plaque? So there's all sorts of personalised touches that get done with it. The range, to be honest, is pretty limitless. There's not many things I've made twice. So, for example, all the furniture on the website, they've all started off with somebody saying, can you do? So they've all started off as a bespoke design. A few of them I've remade, but most of the time I like to always try something new anyway. So if somebody says, oh, can I have that particular chair? Then I say, okay, would you mind if I tweak the design a little bit and see what you think? So I'll always try and come up with something new. And as far as the cars are concerned, the sculptures, there's a few cars that keep cropping up time and time again. The F40, Ferrari F40 is massively popular, so I've probably done about 20 or 30 of those. And there was a certain Alfa Romeo I made for the owner, for a group of enthusiasts, and I made 20 of a particular car. But most of the time, they're all completely bespoke, so they're all one-offs. And even if you do make the same car again, because you're making it by hand, no two are the same. They're all different. They all go on a different base, or they're all bent in a slightly different way. So yeah, it's very, very rare that I do make the same thing twice. No matter how hard you battle it, or because the design can take a day and a half just to produce the design of something. And then you can spend a day making it, painting it, mounting it and all this. But then the end of it, the finished result, and then you get the email or the phone call from somebody to say, oh, it's just arrived in the post. Love it, it's amazing. Like the Porsche is a gift for somebody, so a wife's buying it for her husband. So she's excited about it, he has no idea. So of course, once he gets it, hopefully, it'll all be worth it. Probably my Uncle Steve probably taught me how to draw when I was about 8 or 9. He taught me how to sort of properly draw and shade things. But Dad has always been massively hands-on. He's can make anything. So of course I kind of picked up on the making stuff as well as drawing stuff. So if I did ever produce a picture or design anything, probably with Dad's skills, I was always straight down the shed, tearing his tools apart and and hammering things. So I was always hands-on. So I think that's down to Dad. So yeah, massive influence.
So that was Dave Clark, automotive art specialist. That's not his official title, but that's what I'm calling him, as this segment of the show is the specialist segment. So from one specialist to the next, it's time to meet Uber GT, German car specialists, and their impressive fleet of German cars.
Okay, OnlyMotors is our Uber GT where we're going to be driving some pretty special cars, and I'm joined by Nick, who's one of the owners of this pretty fabulous looking workshop. This is about the cleanest workshop or showroom I've ever seen in my life.
Well, we try, we've gone for sort of a simplicity, sort of simple look, but we like it that way. Nice painted floors, nice white walls, and helps the car sort of stand out really.
I noticed you've got OCD like me. At my garage at home, if I push my car out and it's got a condensation on the front.
We try hard. It's very difficult with this floor, and we've constantly got the mop out, but that's all part of it really.
Okay, so you're into cars. You must be into cars to own a place like this.
Absolutely, yeah. We've got a huge passion for cars, and that's really why we started Uber GT. Andrew and I both worked in the motor trade for sort of various dealer networks, BMW and various things.
I noticed the BMW connection.
Yeah, we've strong passion for BMW and sort of other sports cars, and really that's why we started it. Really, we just got great passion for cars. Buying the very best. And presenting them nicely and selling them in a nice environment. So
I was saying to these guys as we drove in, I was overtaken on the way on the M4 by a white BMW 635 D-Reg, and you have one there.
There it is.
Did a double take when I walked in. And thought, is that the actual car?
It's not. No. So we've got a bit of a passion for a classic car, and that's one of our. It's a good example of a 6 Series that we've bought. So
it looks like you restored the brochure as well as the car. Looking.
yeah. Well, it's fabulous actually. It's all original. It's got the original tax disc holder back from 1981, and it's just a great original example.
I was -3 in 1981.
Well, don't say that.
I've noticed that you've got motorsport posters everywhere.
Yeah.
I'm a massive motorsport fan,
Good stuff.
particularly. And there's a Martini Porsche bonnet and a Golf badge over there. I'm sure we'll get some cutaways to save me pointing where you can't see.
Yeah, well, we sort of picked out some nice things that we liked and we've got a passion for, and obviously, look, motorsport's definitely one of our passions, and F1 particularly me. Andrew's probably more sort of sports cars and Le Mans, that sort of thing. But it's nice to have a few bits and pieces around.
I have my eye on your Formula 1 wheel table, and I'm from up north as well, so keep an eye on me later.
I will do. Well, that's probably a front wheel from a very, very early Formula 1 car. It's not quite as big as I'd like it to be.
Right, well, when you get a bigger one, let me know.
Yeah.
So,
do it.
You're into cars?
Yeah,
You play
very much so.
all day with these toys in here. What do you have on the road?
That's not a great subject for me because I've got a large family, so I've got a big Volvo, sadly.
Interview terminated.
Sorry.
Thanks, Nick. Great to meet you, and thank you for letting us drive your cars.
Cheers. Thanks very much.
Right, so I hope you enjoyed the specialist segment of the show. We're now at the halfway point, so we're going to take a break. But do come back afterwards as we finally get up close and personal with the Jaguar XKR-S, and we meet with Bizan Jedi, the development director of supercar hire company Signature Car Hire. Neil Sinclair is one of the most important people at the Wings and Wheels event, as he is in charge of getting literally every car down to each day of the event. He's also senior staff member at one of the world's oldest racetracks, the Brooklyn Circuit. So we caught up with Neil to discuss Wings and Wheels and Brooklands.
I'm delighted to be joined on OnlyMotors by a man who's eating cake, and there's a reason for that. This is Neil from Wheels and Wings and also from Brooklands Museum.
Yep.
Neil, tell us why you're eating cake first of all.
I just need a bit of a sugar fix, having done a couple of runs today.
I don't mean in terms of your physicality, I mean why is there a cake in there?
Why is the cake? I think there's a cake because this is the 10th anniversary of Wings and Wheels, so 10th anniversary of us doing the Wings and Wheels show, and particularly of us at Brooklands Museum actually doing the runway demonstrations.
And you are in charge of coordinating all these cars, and we've got hundreds of cars, supercars through to Speed 6 Bentleys.
Yeah, we got all sorts. We got things like the Beast, which is a Merlin engine.
We saw that,
car, which is excellent. and lots of GT40s, yeah, Sloan, Bentley.
Do you like the way he says that? Just lots of GT40s.
Lots of GT40s, lots of Ferraris, front engine ones, back engine ones. We've got so many we don't even bother to work out which models they are. Tuned up Minis at one end. I think we've got a Morris Minor with a V8 engine in it as well, and everything in between.
10 years of Wings and Wheels, it must be quite a feat organising all these cars on that runway safely, but so that everybody still has a good time and manages to get their foot down and have a bit of welly on down, rather than just having to do parade laps.
Yeah. I mean, the statistics is we have about 200 vehicles from the cars, motorbike and sidecars. We have hopefully 50 minutes for each of those cars to do 2 laps.
And it'd be very easy just to let them do parade laps, wouldn't it? And not worry about all the health and safety.
What we're interested in doing is getting them to do fast runs, but you have to put marshals out there, and our time actually starts ticking from the moment the aviation people.
Not from the Vulcan goes over you?
Vulcan, yeah, that's it. From the moment the aviation people stop using the runway, to the moment we stop, we have to take in our time putting the marshals out, getting the marshals in. So actually, it's a sprint for everyone, even the marshals. We have to get them out in place, we have to get set up, we have to start the cars going, get hopefully say 200 vehicles through, 2 laps, and back in safely, all before the next aircraft comes in.
Does that mean that my idea that I was going to pitch to you of racing the F40 against the Vulcan on the runways is a no-go?
Yeah, they aren't keen on us sort of mixing and matching aircraft and cars, but we do occasionally have some of the older aircraft that come and land on the grass strip next to us as we are running down the runway. So you might see
Tiger Moths and
Tiger Moths or the Sopwith triplane or something like that coming in, but generally we can't mix. But we are quite often sort of chased off the runway by, I think it was today where we were chased off the runway by the Apache or something. Yeah. So we're quite often running.
They roll it in just to make sure the helicopter's gunship in. Get the cars off. Right, okay. That's your Wings and Wheels head on. Now you're the Brooklyn. You get a shot of the Vulcan.
And we always
that is what it's all about.
And we always like sort of loud noises, loud engines at Brooklyn. So
you got them. Yeah. So okay, Brooklyn's head on now. Is it special events you're in charge of?
Yeah, I do. We do a lot of different events there, and I've done a lot of special events there, from 2-day events, 1-day events, from events just for minis to Auto Italia that covers all things Italian, from cars and bikes. I mean, if you think we've got a lot of Ferraris here, we have, I think, hundreds come to Auto Italia.
And of course, just to explain to the uninitiated, that Brooklyn's racetrack used to be another old banked curves that you see, and there is still a section of banked curve left, isn't there?
Oh yeah, there's about 60% of the track left. It was built in 1907, so it's the first purpose-built racetrack anywhere.
It's a bit like wacky races now, they drop off the edges where the rest of it isn't.
That's the problem. There's a few bits been taken out over the past. We're also one of the sort of homes of aviation in this country, because it was where some of the first flights that took place. And in fact, our aviation history sort of took over from motoring in 1939. The last
for obvious reasons.
Yeah, the last races happened in 1939, and it never restarted after the war. But our aviation continued right up into the 80s. So if you go to the museum,
forgive it.
If you go to the museum, and to make a link between the Vulcan and the Concorde, the Vulcans and the Concordes have got basically the same engines, and 1/3 of every Concorde built was actually built at Brooklands. So which is the reason why we got the Concorde, one of our exhibits, the Concorde at Brooklands, because we were very much part and parcel of the manufacturing and design of Concorde. So our aviation history sort of goes right up to and including sort of the early 80s, things like Harriers, Concords, Hunters. We've seen a Hunter here today, so we're all built at Brooklyn. So Wings and Wheels is perfect for us because we can celebrate the sort of two sides of our history.
Absolutely, you've been doing that for 10 years, which is a great story. Now, I'm going to ask you a question which you may have been asked before. It's a mad question. Do you think anybody ever in the future will rebuild Brooklands with all that banked curve and put that other 40% back so we can see cars back in action on Brooklands?
Unfortunately, you'd have to knock down some people's houses to do it, because there's a few parts of it that have now actually been built over. So there's about 60-70% left. The bits that are in our control, we try and conserve, and we're looking at how we can restore them. But because it's a scheduled ancient monument, we can't just bung a load of concrete on it and say it's fixed. We have to restore it in keeping with the original. So hopefully we'll be able to improve the surface a bit. We might try and expand the amount of track we can use, but yeah, no, it's never going to be back. It's never going to be back as a complete circuit.
Should have checked my planning on the Google Maps before asking that question. But thank you for talking to us today. Great to see you with two hats on, two very important hats for motoring enthusiasts, for petrol heads, and of course for aviation enthusiasts as well.
Brilliant, excellent.
Cheers.
Right, thank you very much. Thank you.
So that was Neil Sinclair, a very important figure getting cars to the Wings and Wheels event at Dunsfold, as well as being part of the staff at the world's oldest racetrack, Brooklands. It's now time to meet one of the fastest and most powerful Jaguars ever made. This is the Jaguar XKR-S.
For many years, Jaguar have made cars for what can only be described as middle-aged fat men in suits. Recently, however, they've been taking testosterone because they've been turning out some fantastic cars. The F-Type is a good example. This is a great example. The Jaguar XKR-S. Now, they've been making the XK for some time, and it's got a 5-litre normally aspirated engine. And the boys at Jaguar thought, yeah, okay, 370 odd horsepower, that's okay, but we need to give it a steroid injection. So they added the R, supercharger R, and that took it to 503 brake horsepower. And then somebody at Jaguar put his Harry Potter glasses on, sprinkled this baby with fairy dust, found some more horsepower, and created the XKR-S. Now, it's not the first time that Jaguar have put the XKR-S badge on the front of one of their cars. But it really does show that they have grown a set of balls at Jaguar and are doing amazing things. A 582 brake horsepower car, 0 to 60 in 4.2 seconds, 380mm disc brakes so it can stop as well as it goes. This thing is an absolute beast. But much more than that, it is, I think you'll agree, a thing of beauty. So what do you get for the extra letter S over the XKR? Well, it's 10mm lower, reduced ride height and revised suspension, and it really does make a difference. No changes to the engine whatsoever, because none are needed. But you do get those uprated brakes and the extra 39 horsepower. Jaguar claims that this is the most assertive styling that they've ever put on a car, and it's dictated as much by function as form. It's a bit like my wife saying she's got a free gift for spending £100 on cosmetics, but who cares? It makes her beautiful. At £97,500, the obvious question is this car a supercar? And I struggle to say yes, absolutely it is. Really, it's a heavy GT. But that said, it is a thing of fabulousness. Would I get one? I don't think so. The S is just a bit too much. The XKR, even that, some say, is too much. And if you're really looking for a good buy, the 5-litre, normally aspirated XK is a winner.
So that was the 550 horsepower Jaguar XKR-S. It's time for a break, but do come back afterwards as the British sports car goodness continues as we go for a spin in the Bentley Continental GT, courtesy of Bizan Jedi, the development director of Signature Car Hire, the UK's finest supercar hire company. Welcome back to the archives. The UK has many fine supercar hire companies, but none are finer than Signature Car Hire. We met with their development director, Bizan Jedi, to talk supercars, the growth of his business, and also ask him for a cheeky ride in one of his cars. I leave you with our final feature, Bizan Jedi of Signature Car Hire.
So I'm about to meet Bizan from Signature Car Hire, and if by TV magic he's here, so let's have a chat with him. Bizan,
Hi.
nice to meet you.
How are you?
Gotta say, this is a beauty. Do you mind if I get in?
Go ahead, be my guest. I'll just open the door for you.
Special,
There you
liking that. So, Bizan, nice to be. Oh, I'll tell you what, these seats are.
They are for a big handsome guy like yourself as well.
Well, I have to say, very impressed already. My lack of car knowledge I apologise for, but I do realise this is a Bentley.
It is. The big B gives it away.
Well, yeah, it's kind of, it gave it away because I read on the back.
Right, okay.
So it's all about fancy cars. We're talking Signature Car Hire. Tell us about the company, also what you do, because you've got kind of a posh title, Development Director.
Correct. I'm the development director of the company, responsible for developing the company. Basically, I suppose it's what it says on the tin. We've got a car hire company, chauffeur division, wedding hire division, and we've got a car club. One of my projects at the moment is to develop the car club and to really push it and to give a real special tailored service to individuals that want to be part of something bigger than just car hire.
So it's like you say, it's not just car hire, a Signature Car Hire, because you have various companies linked in. But so what kind of services do you? First of all, what kind of cars are available? What have you got under your big garage?
We've got probably one of the biggest garages for car hire in the UK.
Yeah.
We've got just under 50 vehicles, all performance orientated. So going from the Porsche Boxster S all the way up to Porsche Turbo S, AMG Mercedes. We're going further up to Lamborghini Galados, LP560s, and Lamborghini Aventador, and even the Brabus one-off pieces that we have available for people to rent.
So you've got all the big boys and some of the beautiful girls as well, to use the terminology.
Yes, yeah, absolutely, yeah. Our customers come from a variety of backgrounds. Some of them are obviously married with children, want a family car with 4 seats, and some are single, looking for something a bit more special.
And you're talking about your customers, because say if obviously, as people are aware, I don't really drive, but I'm kind of learning to pick it up again. If I came in as like a special, because obviously now we're best friends.
Sure.
What would you suggest that would work for me? Because I am 6'5", and sometimes I've been to other supercar places, and you're virtually lying on the floor.
Yeah, absolutely. For a big handsome man like yourself,
thank you very much. You're looking good yourself.
Yeah, I think I absolutely agree. I mean, every vehicle has its own market, and I think when you've got the low performance cars, obviously it's difficult to drive them every day, because if you're a taller gentleman, then obviously opening the doors and climbing out in a club where you've got people looking at you on your hands and knees is going to be a bit of a disaster.
You must get sort of clients that are like, I really want to hire this for a weekend or whatever it is, whatever special thing they're doing, but they're like, it's not as, it's a bit more powerful than my usual car. I'm a bit nervous, don't want to bring it because it's going to cost me money. How do you deal with that?
Well, I mean, we've got a real good setup in place. Our experience centre in West London is specially tailored for the vehicles and for customers.
Right.
So we have a bay where customers would come in and they'd see the vehicle, they take a look, and we have someone very experienced in all the details of the navigation. Small things like that make a difference.
Yeah,
the navigation,
of course, yeah.
how the air conditioning works, the climate control, how do all the Bluetooth buttons work. They go through that with every single customer step by step to make sure that perhaps you're getting the right fuel in the tank.
Well, yeah.
But I mean, apart from that, to run through all the smaller bits that are very important. It might not seem so important in the beginning, but later on you realize that, hey, I need to use the sat-nav. How does it work? So we have individuals that are very knowledgeable about the car, and they run through every single bit in detail. But I think the main thing about Signature is that every vehicle that we have is obviously of the highest specification, and that is normally what everyone says. But we tick all the options boxes whenever we buy a car. We buy them brand new, and we never let them go above a certain mileage. So I mean, we look after the vehicles, we look after our customers, and it's really word of mouth that has got us to where we are.
What's in your garage at the moment? Because I'm sure you get to drive these all the time, but do you have your own personal cars?
Well, I mean, in the garage at the moment, as I say, we've got a variety of vehicles. We do get on time to time to drive the vehicles. It takes the fun out of it, really. I think driving them every day. So if you had a Porsche or a Lamborghini every day, it would take the fun out of it.
Yeah,
so yeah, I've got my day-to-day car, but on special occasions, then why not?
But talking of fun, I don't get to sit in these beautiful cars very, very often. Tell us about this beauty.
Well, this beauty, I think, is just under £150,000. It's obviously the Bentley GTC. It's a 500 horsepower. They had the V12s or the W12s in these a while back. They've just changed them to the V8. So you've got a V8 engine under the bonnet. Perhaps for emissions purposes, etc., they've had to do that from an engineering perspective. But obviously the power is great. It's a different breed to performance sports vehicles in the sense that you have the power on tap, but you have the luxury as well.
So I've noticed you've got drinks, which I was about to say can have a water, but not just any water. You've got your own water and all sorts of gubbins here.
Yeah, we've got our own affiliated to Tic Tacs. We've got our own Tic Tacs with the Signature brand on.
Yeah.
We love our brand a lot, and it's obviously got a great name. So we've got wet wipes, which you wouldn't think are the typical thing to have in cars, but you'll be surprised.
Well,
when they might come
you want to keep it all shiny and beautiful.
Exactly,
right?
absolutely.
So you've got all the gubbins. I noticed you've got brochures in the back as well.
Yeah, brochures. All our customers get the brochures, and it just has details of our experience centre, the things we offer. And I mean, we've got literally more than 20 individuals dedicated to the car hire side, and 4 or 5 in marketing. We just have a whole campaign constantly for Twitter, for Facebook, Instagram, Google+. We're really happy and comfortable with social networking.
So literally, like OnlyMotors, you've got it all going on.
Got it all going on.
And in weather such as this, which isn't bad, it's quite a beautiful car with 2 good-looking guys with the appropriate hairstyle,
Absolutely.
Well, in that sense, we should probably go for a bit of a drive, then.
Yeah, let's do it.
Show me
Let's do
what
it.
this can do. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you. Lovely to meet you.
Yeah, I've enjoyed it. It's been a pleasure. But I have to say one thing negative. This car doesn't have a toilet, so I've got to go elsewhere. Nice to meet you.
Take care.
That is beautiful. You'll need to use a wet wipe there because I'm definitely done. See you later.
Thanks.